guys, so I am testing the A7RIII officially. I am here with Cassidy. I'm going to put a link to her work as well. I mean, she actually is a photographer too, and you guys have seen her in some of my other videos in the past. So we're going to be testing the A7RIII, and you guys see what she's holding. You see that in her hand? That's the D80. And no, see, the D80 is not dead. The one that I set on fire in a very dramatic fashion was just a non-working camera, because I'm a camera nerd. I keep even broken cameras lying around that I tinker around with, and that's the one that died, not the D80 that as a teenager I saved for like almost 2 years to buy. I would never set it on fire. So it's nice and safe, as you can see, so hopefully not all too triggered. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and do a little test with the A7RIII. I've always wanted to do kind of a beauty, sort of like high-key look, so I actually have a light behind Cassidy that's going to be like essentially a background, and we're going to get a nice high-key look and see how this goes. Alright guys, I know you can't see me, but I have switched over to the 70-200 instead, and I'm really getting some good shots here though. This is kind of what I'm getting right now. So I'm very, very close up. And I'm not sure why I have been so afraid to shoot close to my subjects. What's the deal with that? I don't know. But anyways, not in 2018. Yeah, I'm shooting out all the way at 200 millimeters right now. I really like the fact that this lens focuses very, very closely. So I don't have to worry about that. Also, unlike my Nikon 70-200 VR2, I don't have to worry about that annoying focus breathing. This lens offers high magnification even close up at 200. So she's turned just to the side a little bit more, and now I'm getting a little bit different perspective on things. There we go, that's really good. Okay, sit just a little straighter for me. There you go. Okay, let's see what that's like. So pretty good shot so far. I'll show you this also. If you are watching this video now, that means that the shoot actually went awesome. Because there's a lot of experimenting going on. Now I turned off the main light, and I'm just going to backlight. See if we get kind of a dramatic effect here. So we're getting some really, really cool results here. I'm liking this. The camera's autofocus system is, you know, it's not going to do as well here with it being so heavily backlit, but thanks to the electronic viewfinder, I have no problem manually focusing, and these shots are sharp too. Alright guys, so I hope that you've enjoyed taking this behind the scenes look at the A7RIII. The A7RIII excels in studio conditions like this. This is the exact scenario where I'm thinking about things like resolution and dynamic range. A lot of the things I did in this video, they served to not only help me hone some new skills with my lighting, but I also wanted to sort of torture test the camera, and that's why you heard me comment on how the camera performed focusing in a very, very backlit situation. I actually turned my main light's modeling light off, so that way I would have a little bit harder time focusing, and the camera still did surprisingly well given the situation. I did switch over to manual focus, and thanks to the electronic viewfinder, it actually was much, much easier for me to see how to manually focus. I don't have the world's best vision, and so being able to reliably manually focus is not something that I'm accustomed to, but I was able to do so with this camera. One thing I will say is that out of all the things I noticed, dynamic range is what impressed me the most. As I started shooting more with the backlit type situation and no main light, I was able to really go in and raise the shadows quite a lot and still get lots and lots of detail there. During the video, you guys actually saw the edited shot, but the unedited shot looked much, much different, and it was surprisingly dark, and I raised the shadow detail a lot in post. It's amazing how much detail I was still able to get out of the image, and it worked very, very well. After I shot Cassidy for a bit, we decided to change places because remember, she is a photographer also, and I kind of have a secret master plan to expose as many of my Nikon shooting friends to Sony mirrorless as possible. I guess it isn't a secret plan if I tell you guys that, but whatever. So anyways, long story short, we traded places, and she used the 85mm 1.8. She's a bit more comfortable with that lens as opposed to the 70-200. She got some very good shots of me too, and it worked out very, very well. Right after I took photos of Cassidy, I took photographs of a friend of mine who is a writer, and he wanted to create some unique sorts of images. He wanted to do something that was basically the direct opposite of what I did with Cassidy. So instead of doing this like very vibrant, sort of high-key image, I did some images that were a little bit more dark, a little bit more mysterious. I used the 55mm f1.8 Zeiss lens for that shoot. Normally I would use an 85mm lens for more of a closer headshot, but I used the 55 because I actually wanted to get closer to the subject. I wanted to convey a sense of tension in the images, so that's why all the shadows, you guys notice that I actually put up a piece of black cloth also to the side to really prevent light from bouncing around, to really bring out those shadows and have some negative feel going on. But I use that 55 to get very close because basically whenever you get like really in someone's face with the camera, they get a little bit uneasy. And for this particular shot, I did want to portray a little bit of turbulence, if you will. My friend's writing is a little bit controversial in some aspects. Definitely for some open-minded individuals. You can check out Donald James' Vision on Amazon if you are curious about that. But I wanted to convey that sort of mysterious mode, so the 55 worked out really well for that. I even experimented a little bit with the 12-24 because, why not? The 24mm lens is not something, a 24mm focal length is not something you would typically use for a portrait, but I wanted to kind of do that and sort of play with the distortion. And then I decided that, Don decided that he liked his face in a lot of the wide-angle shots. So I decided to crop in a little bit on a few of these shots, and of course I was able to do that with the 42 megapixel resolution. So all in all, it was very, very interesting. One thing that I learned about the camera is that they changed up the menu system, or the menu option rather, for the flash control. It used to be on Sony cameras, even on the A9, it was set up to where if you wanted to go in and enable your wireless flash mode, you would basically go into your flash modes and you'd have things like your fill flash and your slow sync and your rear sync, and then you'd have wireless. Well, on the A7R III, it's not there. Now this is actually good because that means that you can turn on the wireless separately and still use something like second curtain sync. But whenever I picked the camera up to start doing the shoot, I couldn't find the wireless setting at first. I thought, man, well that kind of sucks. Since then I've changed things on the camera. I went ahead and added that second wireless flash function to my menu settings as well, so that way I can easily access that. Or maybe I put it in the function menu. Actually, I think I put it in the function menu, so that way I can get to it very, very quickly. So just a little bit of a change. It's a positive one, but this is why it pays to go through all your cameras before you have a serious shoot. You want to know how everything is laid out. That video that I'm showing you guys today, I actually shot. I shot back in early January, so I've shot with the A7R III a lot since then, and I will be talking with you guys a little bit more about that in a future video. And I'm also going to talk about how the A7R III and the A9 compare, and of course now we have the A7 III to look at too. So we've got lots of stuff to cover. Definitely be sure to subscribe to this channel for all the latest updates. Turn on the notifications with that little handy bell icon. And be sure to follow me on social media. I am known as Photog J the Great. No laughing. Yes, I know it's cheesy, but hopefully it sticks out in your brains a little bit better than a guy named Jay Smith. Until next time, guys, this is Jeremy Smith, signing off. 12 to 24 now because I want to create a little bit of.
What you're talking about, Gary.
I know. It's all photographer jargon. It'll be okay.
Care.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it. It's going to look cool, though, I promise. So yeah, so basically I've switched over to the 12 to 24. So now I'm going to.
Oh, you're talking.
Yep. It's all right.
I didn't know.
It's okay. It's all right. I do this. You're fine. You're fine. But anyway, so 12 to 24, I'm going to create some wide angle lens distortion.
No, he's the best. That's why I'm here.
Right.
He's charging me too much.
So a little bit of wide angle lens distortion. It'll look cool. We're going to see how this goes. All right.
I'll buy you lunch if you post that one.